my message is the following. 2023 is going to be a difficult year for the world. And the silver lining can only be that we use it to transform our economies, that we accelerate change that will underpin sounder prospects for growth, and that we, the IMF, fully recognize our responsibility to be a force for good, and a force we will be, all of us.
It was difficult to predict, but you know how further you lower you think Bitcoin can go this year?
I'd be surprised if it dropped below 12, but I think there's a chance it kind of has bottomed here. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if it hits, kind of a 12 and it comes back.
I've been talking to her, I've been discussing when is the next bull run. You know, CZ is talking about these 4-year cycles. Yeah. We have with Bitcoin. I spoke to Jean-Baptiste Graffier from Bitstamp early. He says we're going to definitely get a bull run in the next couple of years. So when are you looking for the next bull run for Bitcoin?
Oh, I hate to speculate on things like that, but I think it could take a little longer. I think it's really kind of there's the macro effect, kind of where will rates and quantitative easing, how does it compare to gold, those kinds of things. And then I think there's the internal to the industry issues. Once all the dust from all of the excess leverage has to clear, or it has to get discounted in. And I don't know that we're going to know the full resolution of things like DCG and the after effects of FTX for another 6 to 9 months minimum. So I think it's probably a year away.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, are we going lower from here? And the Crypto Teacher gives you the truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, the truth hurts, but it sets you free. We're definitely going lower. We know the only reason why we're pumping right now because everything's closed. It's Martin Luther King Day. So thank the Fed, Martin Luther King, if you're making money right now. But guys, when is the next bull run? And we know it's going to happen as the emerging markets start to rise and the dollar starts to fall. So going towards the end of the year or beginning of next year is when we're going to see a bull run. We know China and the digital yuan is ready to go live the first quarter of next year. And then, guys, we have Scaramucci saying that FTX, the bank man, committed fraud. But, guys, we know he's all part of the show. We know all these big corporations that were part of the FTX and bank man knew what he was doing, and they pulled it off. Remember what they want to do. They want to put derivatives, this $100 trillion market, on blockchain ran by an algorithm. And we know that's what the bank man was working on. Plus, they used FTX to pull the rug on crypto. Now we're going to have Gary Gensler come in and sweep it on up. So we know 99% of cryptos are going to be out, and that 1% is going to rise. We've seen this movie before with big tech. And guys, who are the chess pieces? Gary Gensler and Janet Yellen. Now we have the Fed no longer paying remittances to the Treasury. And then plus we had Janet Yellen come out about the debt ceiling. And then we know she only has a certain amount of reserves because she was spending it doing the C word. So guys, we can see now they're going to use this debt ceiling to move us over into the next crisis. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Believe there was any malice behind what happened with FTX. You avoided using the word fraud since those comments. We've had federal prosecutors come out and allege several counts of fraud.
I think it was important in the beginning. I think my first interview was on your air in New York on Squawk Box. I think it was very important in the beginning not to make allegations. I think it's very clear now that there was fraud. We'll, of course, have to let the legal system determine all of those things. But I think for Sam, he's got 3 or 4 of the principals that worked alongside of him have already pled guilty and explained to prosecutors what they did. And then, of course, the new CEO of FTX, Mr. Ray, was very clear about what he saw there was classic embezzlement. So it's unfortunate that this happened. But again, he bought a piece of my business. And so we're waiting for the clearance from the bankruptcy people, the lawyers there, and the investment bankers there to figure out exactly what we're going to be buying back and when.
Yeah, and just to remind our audience, SBF has pled not guilty to those charges.
Right, exactly. So I just want to say, let's let the judge decide in the legal system. But if you're asking me my opinion, based on everything I know at this moment, I think he did commit fraud.
You called SBF a friend. You had conversations with him. Have your views changed?
Well, I mean, you can be betrayed by a friend, right? I mean, you just remember from Dante, the ninth circle of hell is for those that betray their friends here on earth. So I do consider him a lost friend. I had a relationship with him. I would never have sold 30% of my business to him if I didn't have a close relationship to him. And I was bringing him to meet some of my clients that, frankly, I had relationships with for 30 years, longer than Sam has been alive on the planet. So I'm not one of these people to revise history. And I think it's very important. We've got to be very careful when people are victims of fraud, whether it's myself, Skybridge Capital, venture capitalists. We have a tendency to point fingers at the victims. I remember when the Theranos thing came out, people put a list of luminaries out of all the people that invested in Theranos. But, these people are all stupid. No, when you have a perfect fraud or you have a person that's diabolical, it's very, very hard to detect, as evidenced by all the different people, all the luminaries in the venture capital space that gave SBF and Sam money. So,
several cycles when it comes to crypto. Where are we now in this cycle? Do you feel we've reached a bottom, or is there more pain ahead?
I think there's probably a little bit of pain ahead, but I've been quite pleased with the resilience of Bitcoin kind of at the level that it is. I do remember a dinner I had with CZ back 4th of July last year, where we were kind of speculating on where the price could go. And at that time, we thought, well, it might hit kind of 20. And if it holds there, that'll be the bottom. And it didn't, and then it kind of went a little bit lower. But I think it's holding up. So I think we're going to have some fluctuations based, I think, on interest rate levels and quantitative easing and where people think, because Bitcoin has become a bit of a risk asset when it's supposed to be the anti-risk asset. But I think the psychology with institutions and volume has driven it into this, kind of mode where it trades a bit with everything else. But it's holding up. So I think there's a little bit more downside, but I don't think there's going to be a lot.
The Treasury in 2022, and it has fallen substantially, and it's going to fall some more, by the way. It fell to $76 billion in 2022 from $109 billion the year before. Fed, what it does is it pays interest on the reserves banks keep at the Federal Reserve. That interest expense, because interest rates went up, soared to $102 billion. That's up $96 billion, $97 billion from 2021. Federal Reserve banks, the 12 district banks, stopped transferring remittances to the Treasury in September. By then, they had already paid $76 billion. Now, the difference between September and now is that they registered a deferred asset or a loss of nearly $19 billion over that time. Well, to remember, the Fed has transferred almost $1 trillion to the Treasury over the past 10 years. And guys, what's going to happen this year is the Fed is not going to be giving much money, or really not going to give any money at all, to the Treasury because of the amount of money it's paying to the banks in interest on reserves in order to keep that money on reserve at the Federal Reserve and not have those reserves creating inflation is the idea, Deirdre.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.